And now let's turn our gaze to developments within India and how India is choosing to deal with China. Over the past few days, a pattern seems to have emerged, a gradual hardening of stance. India is standing up to China in more ways than one. First, with the rebuke about China's activities in the South China Sea, then by refusing to endorse their Belt and Road Initiative at the SCO summit, and then yesterday by expanding its relationship with Taiwan. They're opening their third so-called cultural center in India. It's a de facto Taiwanese consulate. It will come up in Mumbai, and it's being seen as a message from New Delhi to Beijing. Here's our next report.
India and China, the two great Asian heavyweights. Countries that were supposed to reclaim their glory this century. Had they worked together, that may have already happened. But for now, the relationship is fraught with animosity. Ties between New Delhi and Beijing are at an all-time low. The lowest since the war between them in 1962. And it started with border flare-ups in 2017 and then again in 2020. China is trying to invade Indian territory. India is still trying to negotiate a complete disengagement. But it's also done playing nice and taken a harder stance in recent weeks. First, there was the criticism of China's bullying tendencies in the South China Sea, which makes sense. India itself is dealing with China's disregard for borders. Then came the cold shoulder to China's Belt and Road Initiative, which again directly affects India. The BRI passes through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. It's an affront to India's territorial integrity. So, of course, India was never going to endorse the project. But now, it seems India is taking it a step further and using Taiwan as the battleground. China claims Taiwan as its own territory. Although it's a self-governed island with its own army, China has threatened to use force to bring it to heel. It keeps saber-rattling near the island. It keeps denouncing the US for selling arms to Taiwan. It's very clear that Taiwan is Beijing's red line, and India seems to be testing that. This is the statement Taiwan's foreign ministry released yesterday. It says that Taiwan will open another Taipei Economic and Cultural Centre in India. The third such centre in India. It will be in Mumbai, India's financial hub. But why is this significant? Because the Taipei Economic and Cultural Centres are effectively Taiwanese consulates. They operate as de facto missions. Let's break it down. Most of the world does not officially recognize Taiwan as an independent nation. Neither does India. But they maintain unofficial ties with the island. India does it through these cultural centres. They perform most of the duties of a diplomatic mission. India has two such centres. The first one opened in the capital, New Delhi, in 1995. The second was set up in the southern city of Chennai in 2012. And these have been very beneficial for India-Taiwan ties, business ties in particular. The Chennai Centre has helped Taiwanese business invest in India's southern states. Taipei says 60% of Taiwanese businesses in India are based in the country's south. This includes Foxconn's iPhone manufacturing plant in Chennai. With the new cultural centre in Mumbai, India's western and central states are expected to benefit. But let us be clear, this is just the icing. The cake is still a third Taiwanese centre coming to India because that sends a signal to China. It says that India is willing to defy the dragon and that if Beijing doesn't play ball on border issues, New Delhi can find other partners.
And now it's time for Vantage Shots, images that tell the story. An exciting day at a US theme park in Wisconsin turned sour. A roller coaster ride malfunctioned. 8 passengers were suspended upside down for hours. And speaking of amusement parks, a popular roller coaster in North Carolina was closed after a viral video showed its support pillar with a crack. An upcoming venue in Las Vegas called Sphere was put on trial. It is being hailed as the world's largest spherical structure. Spain kicked off the historical Bull Run Festival of San Fermin with thousands of attendees. And finally, what makes the 6th of July significant? We're taking you back in history to the year 1942, when 13-year-old Anne Frank went into hiding in Amsterdam to escape the Nazis. Today, she's world-renowned for writing The Diary of Anne Frank. We're leaving you with these images. Thanks for watching.
Interesting. Can't see him. So that guy's up there just talking to the people, trying to keep them calm. Little steel thing. That's kind of like a safety switch that stopped. Make sure he's okay. Yeah.
Email exchanges from inside the BBC, they talk about the risk of violating Indian laws. It's easier to rake up the freedom of speech debate, but does it give anyone a free pass to knowingly violate the law? America supports India because it needs India's support in return. And India is working with the US because it suits India's interests. This is how geopolitics works. Last night, he diffused a crisis with his defense minister. But today, Netanyahu was confronted with a new problem. His cabinet seems to have rebelled against him. The UK is looking at the Indian subcontinent to fill its coffers. That India seems to be negotiating from a position of power, like a partner and not a former colony.